Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Broskiedoodles podcast. The best podcast on all the land. I have to do the logistics part. If you could please subscribe. And if you could please like it, leave a comment and a question, your name, social security. I'll get in touch with you. Today we have a very serious topic. And one that me and my boy BJ been wanting to speak about for a minute.
Bro.
We're talking about the new documentary, Allen versus Farrow. So we just finished watching it, right? It's a four episode piece, which to start off it was a bit creepy, having to like, oh, it's Monday again. Let's watch it. Let's see what happens now. It was a bit creepy. Made me feel a certain type of way. But it's a four episode series on HBO. The last episode is the longest one. It's an hour and 10 minutes. And yeah, so I'll leave you to the hard part of breaking the ice with this. But what are your first reactions regarding this?
So I had never heard of anything that had happened in relation to Allen and his allegations before this series. And I had never even seen any of his movies. But after watching this, I probably won't ever. It's very strange. The series as a whole, the exploration of Mia Farrow and Woody Allen and the relationship and how that intertwined with their kids. I don't even know where to start in the sense of like what the fuck.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's start with the basics of this. And do you think he did it?
I mean, we're gonna go straight into the question.
Yeah.
Did he do it? Yes or no? That's
People wanna listen. People tune in. Thousands of people tune in to the Broskiedoodles to hear
millions.
the nitty gritty, the meat and potatoes.
Fuck. I'm gonna go with there's a very high indication that he did something shady
with Dylan.
With Dylan, his adoptive daughter. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. There's no doubt about it.
I agree.
To what extent? I don't know.
Did you find the videos of Dylan saying the things believable, or do you think there's any chance he was coached?
Like her as a child when she was saying what happened with her dad.
Mm-hmm.
Was she coached? I don't think so. I don't see that intent with Mia Farrow. You can tell when somebody's a piece of shit, and Mia Farrow, she felt like the whole thing with Mia Farrow is you have to analyze where she came from, how she got to the point where she is. She survived polio. She was a polio survivor, and she felt like she was given a second chance at life. So she wanted to do the best she could to help underprivileged kids from different walks of life. And before she even met Woody Allen, she had already adopted, I don't know,
35 kids.
Something like that. It was insane. She was a crazy cat lady, but with kids.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to speak about some pushback I have about Farrow and her team, which I'm on. I'm Team Farrow, but there are some things there that are fucking weird. But yeah, go on.
Definitely weird. But I wouldn't see it in her. I wouldn't see her have the intent of being you know what, I'm gonna coach this girl to talk shit about Woody Allen and say that he's doing this. just to either get money or to get custody of the child or to do something. Like there was never that intent of like of being dishonest to gain an edge or to gain leverage in a certain situation from Farrow. From
Right.
Woody, it seemed like every single move that he made was calculated.
I never seen any of. I mean, I have seen maybe one or two movies of him accidentally. Not
Mm-hmm.
that I was ever a fan of him. To be honest, for me, Woody Allen whenever I heard that name, it was like a bit like hearing like contemporary artists from like the 60s or 70s. Like obviously not as far, not like Picasso, because that was a bit or Dali, right? Like that was
Right.
too
Like
back
like
then. But like, what was this guy? The American, I think, or English?
like Andy Warhol.
Yeah, like Andy Warhol. Like to me,
Yeah.
was somebody that like, oh yeah, he's in the artist world, and
Yeah, he's an artist. Yeah.
yeah. And I saw a movie. I think it's called like A Night or Midnight in Paris with Owen Wilson and the French actress. And then I later found out that it was Woody Allen. But in any case,
Oh.
never really watched his films. Never really knew him as an artist. And then I started seeing this, right? This documentary, and on the documentary they show you some films, right? Don't
Like bits
they?
and pieces of it, right?
Yeah, bits
Uh-huh.
and pieces, and yeah, and there was one film where like he's the character, he's like 42, and then the girl's like 17.
Oof.
Remember that part?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I do understand that in the 70s, that does not look the same as today. And I even think that legally, 17 in New York is like above the law.
I think 17 and a half. Like you have to be like on the second half of the 17.
Are you like for real?
I mean, most of the laws in relation to age are like that. Like if you're
Okay.
17, like pushing to 18, I mean,
Okay.
it's still like
Well, in
it's
any
still
case,
grimy.
you
Like
yeah, it's
like
crime.
if you're 60, if you're 65 and you're dating a 17 and a half year old, like
If you have to justify shit by technicalities, it doesn't look good, right?
exactly.
I
Like
mean, like technically speaking, she was about to be 17, so it's like, yeah, dude, you shouldn't even have to be there, like on that. But
like like
you
like
know what
carry the
was
one, you know.
like people say like, oh, Woody Allen movies are amazing, and I haven't really seen them, so I'm not being a fair judge of this. But when they showed that part of like that girl in that movie, it was a
Mhm.
bit weird because the role of the girl is like, oh, I'm in love with you, and he's always like, no, you can't be with me, this is not right, and she's like, no, but I'm too in love with you, and it's like, it almost felt like this motherfucker's just playing out his fantasy, right? like like his porn fantasy, right? Like
Uh-huh.
he's like, look, I can't do this, and she's like, oh, but please, like I'm dying for your love, and like there's a scene where she wants to like keep having sex, and he's like, but we can't keep having sex, and it's like this like very attractive blonde girl who,
Oh
from
my
what I
god.
understand, was really 17, like the actress, which makes it worst, but to me it was like, I don't know what people consider him to be great, and I'm sure that he does have greatness in him, like
Uh-huh.
in artistically speaking.
Mhm.
But dude, I just had to see that one bits and pieces of that film that he get. I don't know, maybe I'm talking shit, but he gave me like a feeling of what this guy is, and it almost felt like, I mean, people do say like when the writers write movies and shit, a lot of times they put their own life and things in there. And it
Yeah.
just felt like all the movies that he made were like that, right? It's like an older guy with a younger chick. And when he got too old, then he would just play people that were like 40 something with a girl that's like barely legal. And so that definitely doesn't look good on him, those
Right.
movies. And but the part that, I mean, this is what got me thinking. Why is it that you and me never heard of this? This is not that old.
It's not, but think about when this was going on. Supposedly this was happening around 92, 93. How old were you when it was 92, 93?
No, I mean I was very young, but like it's just crazy that that just sort of flew by. I mean, like from what I understand, and this is shown in the last episode, really like 4 years ago or something like that is when Dylan started speaking out, and Ronan Farrow, the other son.
Right.
But
The actual the only biological son that he has.
supposedly, right? People,
I mean,
people,
and
people say
he
that they
doesn't
even
even.
doubt that because I heard Joe Rogan say like that kid's probably Frank Sinatra because Sinatra used to mingle with Farrow, and the kid's good looking. He has good traits. Woody
Right.
Allen's not doesn't
But
have the
but
traits.
didn't Farrow mingle with Sinatra
Yeah, who knows?
before
I mean, I
she was
guess
with the
Joe Rogan when he commented that, I guess he was insinuating that it was some sort of, you know. Okay, but
um
now, okay, let's be clear, right? I mean, it's for this one, it's not that hard. Like everyone should think that he did it because it just even though the documentary is biased, like it is biased for Farrow, right? Like there's no doesn't show you anything from the other side. But even then, like even me being clear that it's biased, it's hard for me not to think that he did do it.
going back to what you're saying about him always making films where it's an older gentleman falling in love with a younger lady, and the actually the younger lady being more in love with him than the older gentleman being in love with her, and her acting out her love or her passion towards him, quote unquote. um yeah, I think you and I, as artists, can agree that to a certain extent art is a reflection of self. Like you invest your emotion and your thoughts and your feelings into your art, and that shows through through how it comes out. That being said, this was simply a reflection of him, like of who he was. He would constantly had this idea of wanting to be with, I guess, a younger person, to the extent of like he would he would even like write it in. You saw that part where he was like writing. Oh, first he started off with like a 21-year-old college girl. Then he would like delete it, and then he'd go back and no 18, and then no he deleted
Yeah,
it. And like, no like 16, and
yeah.
like I'm like yo like I
I mean,
understand that it's illegal.
I don't know if that's something they put on the documentary to spice it up, but
Well,
actually, what they were insinuating is that he would start with like a 16-year-old, and he's like, oh no, let's make it 18 so that it is
no,
legal.
it's the opposite. He would
No,
start with a 21, and then he'd go down to 16,
and then he'll go up to 18, for what I remember. But in any case,
or like like whatever. But like it was still like he was going down to a less than or
like
close to
borderline, like there.
borderline. Yeah, like yo, like what the fuck, like, and you're still like you're 40, you're 45, you're 50, you're 55, and you're still looking
Like
for this
if
borderline
these relationships if these relationships if these
relationship.
relationships that he's creating can change legality depending on the state that you're in, that becomes a problem. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, it was crazy to see that happen, and you know one thing, going back to what I was saying, like yeah, we all think that this guy did it, right? But
Right, I totally agree.
there is this thing, right, where I was thinking like, dude, she's also fucking weird. Pharaoh.
Yeah,
Like
it doesn't
first of
it doesn't
all,
help her case.
yeah, I think you and me um talked about it in a previous podcast about this lady that just kept adopting kids. Or actually,
Uh-huh.
no, this one was crazier. She kept having surrogate children,
Okay.
and she was already like, up to 100 kids and some shit like that. It was insane.
Uh
Or she
huh.
wanted to have 100. She had like 18. But I was telling you, like, yo, that's not even something you're doing for good. You just it's to prove a point or some shit. And it almost felt like with Farrow, and she did adopt like a lot of kids that had issues and things. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot of good intent there.
Uh
But
huh.
part of me was like, yo, what are you trying to prove? How many fucking children are you going to adopt? Like by the end of the episode, I couldn't even recognize half of the kids. I'm like, where are these new ones came from? Like
Yeah, and there was new kids after
there was new kids, right?
after Ronan.
After Ronan, there were fucking new kids. I was like, yo, you know what? I just, I mean, I don't know. I guess I like to think that she just is a really nice person and wants to like give these people love. But to me, that alone is a little bit fucking weird. And then the other thing is, you let this guy into your house and you allow yourself to have this weird fucking relationship with him where he lives in his own house, but he comes and sees your kids whenever he wants, and then he adopts part of them. And dude, to me, it was just like, if you love your kids, like you say you do, right? Because you love adopting them like by the week, then why the fuck are you like, chilling with this dude? That's definitely weird. Now I do understand a woman in those days. It's like, you know, I would assume that she just wasn't clear on how life works. She was trying to like get by. She was getting jobs from movies from this guy.
Hmm.
So I guess she was in a hard position. Women back in the day maybe didn't have as much ownership, and she might have not felt. I don't know. There's many things that I don't know about, and obviously she was a victim in this situation. But part of me is like, I don't know. I think there would have been red flags previous to this shit happening. Whenever they showed videos of back in the day, you would always see like Woody going to Dylan and trying to fucking annoy her all the time, and you could feel in her that there was something she didn't like, even if she didn't understand things yet. There was
Right.
always this feeling that she was like, "Oh fuck, this guy came." You know what I mean? It felt
Right.
eerie. It felt eerie to. So I just didn't like the fact that Farrow was so like whatever. And I think part of it is if you have so many fucking kids, it's hard to keep track of them and make sure everybody's,
that
you know.
not only that, like I felt okay. So she started off with the whole thing that he didn't even like kids, like to begin with, when they were in the relationship, and she told him about all the kids that she has, and she's like, he's like, I don't even like kids. Like, so like right there, that should have been like, okay, red flag number one. He doesn't like kids. Like, what the like
And you have
then?
37.
And you have 37 of them. I'd say you gotta cut it. You gotta find somebody that at least likes the kids. And then when he when she kept getting more kids after he was in the picture, and she got Dylan, um and then all of a sudden he has this very strong affinity to Dylan, to the point where she asked him, oh, if he wants to have a kid, and he's like, well, I wouldn't mind having a kid, but you got to take care of him. I'm not doing anything. So like that's another red flag. I'm like, yo, like what the
Oh,
fuck?
super red flag.
Like, and then he's like, oh, I wanted to be a female, and I wanted to be blonde, like the kid that he's gonna have. So
Yeah, that's
when the
right.
kid came
He
out
chose
male,
that. He
he's
chose that,
like,
right?
right, he wasn't. I guess it was after hanging out with Dylan that he wanted to have the kid blonde or whatever. And it's weird because okay, so after they have the kid, and it's not a female, it's a male. He like I feel like he said like fuck, now what do I do? So
And he seemed like he never really gave much of a fuck about his actual kid in comparison to Dylan.
in comparison to Dylan,
I mean, he gave
right?
more of a fuck about his kid than the other kids, but
He
Dylan was
he
was fucking priority.
he gave more of a fuck about Moses than his actual kid. I'm like, Yo, what's up with you? Like for Moses, I think he saw like himself. He's like, oh, some geeky little kid with glasses and shit. This is just me. So like he felt, I think he felt pity with Moses. So that's why he's like, you know what? Let me get Moses. Definitely let me get Dylan, and let me get
Maybe
Ronan
what he saw in
because he's
Moses was like this really smart kid that he could actually relate to. Because I mean, Woody Allen's gotta be. I mean, he's definitely a smart person. I mean, this guy, when you would see him in the press conferences talking about it, or even in interviews, I gotta say, bro, this guy was so smooth. Wouldn't you think? Or maybe I'm seeing it wrong. I saw him as
I
so
no
smooth.
I did see that he had basically an answer for everything. And part of his like I felt like he was always in character. He was always in character everywhere that he went.
Right? On that little character that he does in his
That
movies,
that little character that he does,
which from what I saw, I don't like that. I don't find that to be. I mean, and I'm not doing this because I saw the documentary and
uh
like artistry wise, I just don't see what people see. You know.
huh.
Um.
To me, it was relatable. Like it was hilarious because it was like, like he's kind of neurotic, and people are tend to be neurotic, and like it was kind of almost like a personification of a New Yorkan that's always like worried about some shit, and
Right.
just the him like constantly being like worried persona character to a certain extent can be funny, you know.
No, and I know people that really. I mean, and I believe myself to be into film, but I'm not like some professional or anything. I'm pretty sure there's people out there like this fucking idiot. Like you don't even know. You don't even
No,
know what Woody did. You don't even know.
you didn't even know, but
What
mind you,
what
I've
I
never seen any of the films, so I don't know.
Yeah, me neither. I'm just seeing bits and pieces. I mean, I did see one, but what I'm trying to say is, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely things to pick up, but in the documentary, one of the ladies was saying that like it almost felt like all his movies were made to like affect culture and people, like make it normal to be with like underage girls or borderline. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he's spreading this movie culture and people love him, but then without noticing the. I mean, I don't even know how it is without noticing. Like that movie, I understand it's not the same. That movie comes out today, it's gonna be looked at as weird, but
Right. Super weird.
I don't know. It's just dude. Another thing with Farrow, they did like 13 movies together, year after
Hmm.
year, where they were both the
The leading
right. What the?
role,
That's fucking weird. I mean,
like
I
like
just
to
cannot
see.
see. Like, I understand you have Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. At one point, they were together. They made a movie. That's cute.
uh,
That's cool. But you're gonna make 13 movies together? That's fucking creepy. You
like
cannot
like
like. I mean, the only character they can make is a couple because psychologically you wouldn't believe it if they were playing different things. And I'm almost certain that the movies they were couples. But then
right.
how many couple movies can you make with the same fucking actors? I just I don't know. Like when they say, "Oh, he made a movie every year." Yeah, I could make a movie every year like that. I'm just talking shit, but it's just I just found it to be like okay, but okay. Another thing I wanted to touch on, and again, this is just little nuances that I'm trying to bring up. I'm Team Farrow, of course, but people might hate me for this. I felt like I didn't like Dylan, the older one. Like I found her to be annoying, and I understand that part of it is this is a person that grew up awkward with issues because of the trauma, so they're
Hmm.
definitely like awkward, and they're not they're socially awkward, right?
Hmm.
So that would explain it. And I'm really not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to be honest. Like part of like if I didn't know anything about what had happened, I just met someone like that. I'm like, I wouldn't like her. She just I felt her to be like, this is fucked up because I believe what happened to her happened, but when the older version of her seemed like some of it was like acted, like exaggerating. And I know that sounds fucked up, but not because I don't believe that that exaggeration will be just to what happened. I mean, what happened was horrible. What I mean is the way that she did it felt fake, and part of it felt like I didn't like her. And I'm just, like I said, being honest, because I might be wrong, and that could just be my interpretation. But did you get any of that?
From Dylan, I felt like sorrow. I felt pity. I felt damn, like this is fucked up that this happened to her. I don't say that I can't say that I agree with you as far as like feeling like she was faking it or that it felt fake or it felt staged. Um,
Not, yeah.
I,
I feel you. Okay,
I
my
felt
bad.
I felt like that she was generally like still going through the pain of this every day, and possibly to the rest of her life for as long as he lives. Um,
I don't know. I guess I totally agree. I just think there were some sections with Farrow, the mom, and her where I'm just like, I just don't like your attitudes. I don't like your personalities, even though I'm
mhm,
with you on the fight. Like when you would
right.
hear calls between Farrow and Woody, and she's like, "But why would you do that? Why would you hurt?" I'm like I would expect a mom to be like, "Hey, you piece of shit! I'm gonna cut your fucking nuts, and I'm gonna feed them to the pigs. If I fucking find out that you touched my daughter, you piece of, like." She's like, "But why would you do that? We were a family," and it's
But
just like, and I understand she was weak. She was weak. I mean,
I,
that's
I would attribute that to, I mean, I don't know if this is
in
racist or not,
fear.
but
Oh,
to
racist.
no, to her being white. Like, a Latino, I would have said like, like, like I would a Latino mom would be like, "Yo, I'm gonna cut your dick off." Like, what the fuck are you? And then just like go off and like, uh, but then
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
because
like there
she's
was a
white,
part when he was like, "Well, you do what you do, and
oh,
I'll do what I do with my lawyers and things." And like she was like,
you do what you do.
"Oh, okay,
Okay,
okay." And I would have felt
exactly.
like
Like,
like a
yo, what the
Latina
fuck?
mom would have been like, "What? What did you say?
Está bien.
What?"
Espérate, espérame allá afuera para que tú veas.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I don't think it will be a race thing, but I think it's just yeah.
Or maybe
That
like
was a
an
bit.
upbringing, like the way
Yeah.
that she was raised, like to avoid confrontation. So
Yeah.
like she was more like she was more not I don't know I want to like amazed or like perplexed. Like she didn't understand like how he would is capable of doing this
I mean, I guess
more
part of
so
her.
than
Oh,
more so than being outraged at the fact that he did it.
yeah, because she also had to be like if I'm wrong, then these are serious accusations. So I guess that's why
And
she would
and
like backtrack.
and not only that, like everybody was telling her that Dylan was wrong. Everybody was telling her that Dylan was not being
Who's
truthful.
everybody? Because she also had
Or
people
yeah,
telling her
like
the other.
the that center, the Jerusalem Center, the psychologist or whatever,
Yeah,
telling
yeah,
her
no, no shit.
that people
I mean,
closing
that was
cases.
pretty much. I mean,
No,
because from.
I
I
mean
mean,
we all know, yeah.
isn't that like Woody's place?
I don't know if it's Woody's place.
Because I mean, what I'm saying, like, is she Jewish?
I don't know.
I
I
think
think she was Polish.
because this is the thing. I didn't even know that the psychologist was from what I would assume is Woody's, organization of religion or whatever.
Descent
Yeah, but
affiliation.
but every time they would go there, and she would tell the therapist like, "Oh, she's saying that he's doing this, this, and that." The therapist is like, "Yeah," like I found this to be super sketchy. That the therapist would say something like, "Yeah, it is very odd. It is unusual and inappropriate, but it is not sexual." And it's like, what the fuck? Like, to me,
No,
it was like the only thing you could say to sort of justify someone that's doing something wrong. Like, it's like you cannot say that what he's doing is not wrong. You gotta say he's wrong because then you're not gonna be believable at all. But then she's like, it's not sexual. It's that he's never had a kid, so he's never been around kids. So he's, it's like, I don't know. Like I just found it to be like,
Okay.
get the fuck out of here.
You
Like, yeah,
you don't have to be around the kid to know that you don't stick your dick or your finger into other people's private parts.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. Like that's
without
the thing.
consent.
Like I mean, like this guy makes movies. He's super smart. He doesn't know how to fucking not abuse a little kid. Like, you know, I mean, you could be awkward around a kid. I'm fucking awkward all the time around my
Of
friends'
course,
kids. I'm like,
yeah.
what should I do here? But
Yeah.
but
My
so
first instinct isn't to stick my finger in the kid's butt.
like let's just say this: when it comes to small children, right, like young kids, I don't know how I should act, but I definitely now know how not to act. Right? Like I
That's true.
definitely know not what not to do. Now I might
I
not know what
definitely,
to. I might not know what to do to entertain them and have fun, and I could be a goof, but I know
I,
exactly what not to do at least.
I definitely know not to show her how to suck on a lollipop using my finger.
Yeah, dude, for real, man. It's like
uh,
I know to always be in the vicinity of other adults.
at least.
You know what I mean, bro? Like it's just to me it was just fucking insane. And then yeah, so do you think I mean and this is when, you know, things start this is when the conspiracies start coming in and things get
Uh-huh.
sketchy and you might, you know, have to lawyer up. Do you
Uh-huh.
think that part of why we don't hear of this has to do with power that Woody Allen had?
Oh, absolutely. Like I think it was more of like the influence of him being Woody Allen and the damage that these accusations can do, um, whether or not they're true. Just stating them is already bad enough. But the yeah, his power and influence definitely helped him not for it not to go any further than what it did. I think they even said it in the documentary, like, you know, like anybody else would have gone to jail. Why
Yeah, but
didn't
this is the
he?
thing. There's a very important part now here, and it's the whole situation with the trial in Connecticut.
Uh-huh.
Didn't you feel that that was like weak ass game from the police or whoever the fuck does the criminal shit? You know, like he's like, oh, I asked her what happened. She didn't answer. I was like, this is gonna hurt her too much. Let's not do the trial and let the fucking person free. Like, like what's more traumatizing? Like I know this is gonna sound fucked up, but she already got, you know, she already went through some abuse, right? Like, how bad is it for her to answer some questions? And I know it's not as easy as answering some questions. There's like a context involved, right?
Yeah, because
Being
then
here,
she also has to answer questions from the defense or from the other guy,
that's true.
and they might be more probing and more like,
I mean,
and they might.
maybe they resumed this on the documentary, but I would have liked at least for that to have been a more, I don't know, like a longer fight. Like, you know what I mean? Like I mean, like if it was like, hey, you want to do the trial? No. Oh, well, sorry. You know, like, or was it something that he really tried? You know, because like I don't know, couldn't the mom talk to her and be like, look, if this happened, we need to tell the law. For that, you need to answer some questions. I know it's hard, honey, but this is gonna
But
make sure that thing. I don't know.
that's where also the Farrow comes in her being weak minded. Um, she didn't want her to testify for her not to have to go through that whole shit in court, like that whole scenario. So she didn't even get, like, that's another thing. She didn't even give her the chance to do it, because she felt that it'd be in the child's best interest to not have to expose her to that environment. And like ultimately, it was the lack of the decision making from her mom and from the DA to not prosecute due to the fact that it might hurt the kids' feelings to have to be on there. It might traumatize them emotionally, mentally, more so than they already are.
I get it,
And
man.
that's where they fucked up at,
And
I think.
is it the case that they couldn't do a trial without her testifying?
They had nothing to go on except for the child's statement.
Right. That means a fucked up situation, right?
Fucked up is putting it lightly.
All right. Let's jump to another thing with this whole thing, and this is something that pushes me to believe even more that he did it, and it's the fact that he goes and fucking has an affair and eventually marries Suyi.
So Sun Yi,
Sunji, the daughter, right? Of Farrow. And that alone to me is like, yo, what the fuck? Like, to me, that's like, dude, when didn't she find pictures of him and of Sunji
I,
naked
I was
before the thing
I
before
was just
the
about I was just
molesting?
about to yeah, no, it was after the molesting, but before the breakup or whatever, or the trial or whatever, the prosecution, like everything that followed.
Dude, like I couldn't believe after like when the episode happened with the pictures, I'm like, okay, this is done, it's over. I couldn't believe there was a conversation after like, oh, but I'm sorry, like let's work on this together. He's like, what the fuck, dude?
Listen,
Kill this
listen to me.
motherfucker.
I think because he's too smart for that. Like he's too smart to just leave pictures lying around like that, right? So
No, but I
I
think, oh, was it in his? Yeah, he was in his house, right? That
it
he
was in
found
his
it.
house, right? To me, to a certain extent, I feel like those were set up there. Like he planted them there to set up the case for him, you know, quote unquote, being interested in somebody else, falling in love, and like to set up that out because the pictures happened after
Yeah, but why?
the
I don't think that would like. But what are you saying that the relationship or whatever he had with Sunji was fake as well, or that that was happening parallel, and he just used that to be an? I mean, I don't know. I do think that he's really smart, but I do think that he could have slipped on that, and
like
I don't see how that is something that he would be interested in her finding out. Although if that is true, like that just makes him even more like evil. Like I found him to be like this genius evil.
evil genius, yeah, definitely. Like think about it. He just found, like I feel like every single press conference, every single move that he made was a calculated move that he had to discuss with his lawyers type shit to the extent of what he was like. More often than not, his lawyers were talking more than he was about the situation, and
But when he
like
spoke, he killed it.
of course, because not only was he well educated, he's an actor. He can go into
Yeah, right.
character,
And
and
he's a writer too, and he would write very articulate things, and he knew how the mind, the psyche works when it comes to not the psychic, the psyche works
the
when it comes to
psyche,
like
yeah,
yeah, with like the mindset and the communication. He knew what to say, how to say it. Like even his demeanor was very calm, very. It was eerie. It was eerie if you were able to see through the
yeah,
facade.
yeah, and then like the fact that he like well he countersued for custody of the kids and they didn't grant it to him because they fucking knew that like even if he didn't do anything they're not better off being with him because he doesn't even
Yeah.
fucking like I don't felt like he actually liked the kids or he wanted the kids for custody. I think he just needed to
Yeah,
countersue
yeah, that was
just
definitely
to
an attack to sort of show that he's like, what? I'm enraged. Like if she's
I'm
doing this,
enraged.
she's not fit. Yeah, I think he would like if he would have won. He's like, fuck. How do I take care of these fucking
Exactly. I was
kids?
like, fuck. I got these fucking kids.
Because part of me felt like he was a little piece of shit because, well, part of me, like, because
Part of me.
like, aside from the the obvious things he did, or that they show in the documentary, at least,
Uh-huh.
or what the documentary at least tries to prove, which I think I agree with it. It's like he wanted to have a relationship with this lady and sort of have the perks of having kids every once in a while, but he wanted to continue to have his like New York single life where I go and play jazz at a club on Wednesdays, and it was just like,
And fuck random bitches
and
that
fuck
are
random
underage.
bitches. Allegedly,
Allegedly.
as per the
Uh,
movies,
that are
suggestion,
borderline.
borderline. So, and then, you know what's crazy though? I recently saw he came out with a movie recently, but that only got released in Europe and
Uh-huh.
everywhere else, not in the United States. Um, Dude, this guy's like 80 something. He's still kicking. He looks the same since like the 70s, right? He looks
Uh-huh.
the same old guy. You're like, this guy's for lasts forever. And there's part of me that thought like, damn, bro, if this guy did do all of this shit, it almost it almost feels like the perfect crime. Like he got away with it, lived his life, kept making movies, got awards in Hollywood, acolytes. Like dude, there was this part at the last episode where they show Scarlett Johansson with him, and she's like,
Uh-huh.
"This is a genius. This is a genius," and he's like, old as fuck now, and even in him, there's like a thing where he says like, "Wow, I'm still like this is still going. Like I still like like I don't even think he believes how this shit just kept riding clean for him.
Right.
Like
I
fucking
mean,
Scarlett
dude,
Johansson there, like almost looking like she wants to bang him. Like
like within reach, he's like, bro, and
dude, dude, like when she said, like I'm sitting next to a living genius, he made a face like, yeah, slipping. I'll fuck that up too, bitch. Like play around with me, and I'll fuck like,
but bro, no,
and
like
you know,
his eyes, you could tell in his eyes that like he was, I don't want to say dead inside, but like he could barely look people in the eye
you
when
think
he was
so?
talking. Like if you look at the interviews and look at the
You mean like
when
like
he was
like because like
talking.
he's ashamed, or yeah? Because that's what I wonder. Do you think deep inside he knows what the fuck and he's not like content with his life, or does he believe this shit to the end and he's like, fuck it, I got away with it. Fuck you all, YOLO, whatever.
I mean, we also talk about there's a scene or there's a part where they talk about how Mia Farrow would go with him to the psychologist, and he would say, like, he or the psychologist would say, "Oh, it's not the psychologist's job to question morality." Like the morality of what he was saying or what he was doing, and she's like, "What the fuck?" Like, are, so you're not questioning the morality of the individual, then this person has no morals, because they see no moral objection or no moral, like, like stopping thing to this whole going after underage girls. So
Yeah, but like, is that like a
so then
thing?
yeah,
Like,
what do you
isn't the
mean?
psychologist supposed to guide you on how to live righteously, or am I? Or maybe they're just there to help you analyze the way you already think.
I think they're there to help you analyze the way you think, but
But
I
to
don't
what
know
purpose?
how morality fits into psychology or like your thought process.
I mean, that's a bit weird. I would think that they would like mash up at one point. Like if I'm talking to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, whatever the fuck, and I'm like, yo, sometimes I just feel like shanking a motherfucker in the streets, you know? And she's like, okay, I won't judge you on that. What type of knives are you thinking of? Like, what comes to your mind when you're thinking of these crimes? Like I said, I'm not judging you on, the law. So I'm just saying here, like,
Security, security.
what if the guy says some shit about like, look, straight up, I feel really depressed. I'm about to kill a person any day this week. It's like a psychologist supposed to be like, yo, straight up, that ain't my business. Like
He's like straight up. You know what? Me too. Sometimes, bro. It happens. Shit.
that feels you, right. That's why I go to the range on Wednesdays. Papa Mali, do. Like I'm just saying.
That's why I go to. That's what I go to the jazz club on Thursdays.
Like I just don't understand. Like yeah, the whole time that the psychologist would say some shit like, and I would just be like, what? Like. What the fuck?
Like, what the fuck are you like? Are you enabling him to do this shit?
Yeah.
Are you telling him to go do this shit?
It's like they're sitting both there, right? Farrow is like, okay, I got him. Like this is a third party that's gonna validate what I'm thinking. Like, look, he's doing this to the girl, and he's acting weird. He went with my other fucking daughter that was borderline underage, also, if not, right? And so he's doing this like I need help, which I wouldn't be going to the psychologist. I'll be going to the fucking police. But she goes to the psychologist. Psychologist is like, okay. I mean, I don't necessarily see the wrong here. I don't see. I mean, how do you feel, Farrow? Do you think this is something that you have brought upon your family? She's like, what the fuck do you mean?
And then she's like, "No, Miss Allen, you can go home. We're gonna have a discussion here with Miss Farrow. You're okay."
She looks at Alan like, yeah, Alan, we'll talk later. I need to. Okay, security, please bring the. We need to tie. She's like, what's going on? Shut up. You're delusional. Because a fucking Black Mirror episode, she's caught like in some cages. Like, what the fuck is going on?
My kids, where are my kids?
Yeah, so the typical, crazy mom jealous because the husband went with a younger girl, and now she says that they're molesting kids. The classical. Give her 13 sannies a day and put her in the fucking cage. Like
the
typical. So.
Oh, and they reference that psychological book about
which one?
The one that talks about that often the wife will bring up accusations of the husband trying to molest the kid.
Oh, parent alienation.
Yeah, parental alienation.
Where they would make it, so that supposedly whenever the mom feels jealous, she would fabricate some like molesting story. And then like after that, a lot of people started using it in the US. There were some parts of the documentary that felt a bit biased, where they might have been trying to push some political stuff like there. Like, and I'm not saying that that's not true, but it was like, yeah, since then, now everybody uses this to win. And it's like, really, like, anybody can just go like, hey, by the way, I didn't rape anybody, sir. Actually, what happened is she's jealous of me, so she fabricated this. Yeah, you can look it up. It's called parent alienation. We won. I don't like.
Case closed. All right, everybody go home. We got it.
Yeah, they made it look like, yeah, after they found out about this, yeah, it was game over. Pedophiles were fucking blooming. Like
it was game over for the children. All the pedophiles were winning the cases.
Yeah, they had carte blanche. Like. So what did you do, sir? Sir, I'm guilty of being with a wife that does parent alienation. Sorry. Like, okay, that part, and then the other part about like.
Sir, what are you guilty of? I'm guilty of falling in love with somebody else. That's not my wife.
Sir, I need love. I need love in common. Love means sex, baby. Pow, pow, pow. And another part that felt a bit politically, was when they were saying, oh, that every time, like, yeah, well, with the parent alienation, the other thing that they do is that apparently the man will countersue for the, for the
Custody.
kids or whatever, custody, and that would prove even more that she was crazy. And then they would show these moms. They're like, yeah, I went to the police. I said he was molesting my children, and I asked for custody. Well, he asked for counter custody. They gave it to him, and it's like, I'm pretty sure that's gotta be like rare cases. Like, that
Right.
cannot be the norm. That cannot be like, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm a judge and I see a guy counter sue for the custody, that would seem logical. Like, yeah, he's gonna want to show that. You know what I
Like
mean?
he's not a douchebag.
Yeah,
Like, he's not a
and
piece of shit.
he kind of has to, because in his argument he's gonna be like, well, this crazy bitch thinks I'm a molester. She definitely cannot be taking care of children because she's insane. If
Right.
if you're somebody that really isn't a molester, that's gonna be your argument, right?
Yeah, that's
I
fucked
mean,
up. Like, if you really aren't the
am I
molester,
retarded here, or am I like a lawyer or some shit? Like, that's the logical thing, right?
uh, Kiko Cervantes, student of law.
I'm just saying, dude. I'm just saying, we don't know what the world's gonna bring us in the near future with all the pandemics and shit. There's gonna be asteroids coming. I hear the dragons are coming back, like back in the days of London and shit, and
We're gonna have clones. We're gonna have robots.
robots, androids, and I'm not talking about the phone operating system. I'm talking about actual fucking androids taking you apart like a fucking shrimp. But
Or fucking you.
or fucking you. That would be actually the humane choice if you are able to select.
Select which Android you buy.
Like, there was this joke where, like, you would, like, this guy would like go into some tribe where there's a bunch of Indians, like indigenous people, not Indians from India. Uh, which, that's cool too. I love Indian food, but in this case, I'm talking about indigenous people from, like, the Amazon, right? There's always some, like, person from the first world that goes to, like, some fucking uninhabited island where, like, aggressive indigenous people live, and he wants to, like, teach him the ways of the Lord or some shit, and they just kill him and shit because he's fucking stupid. Like, don't go there. Like, stop trying to fucking predicate and bring, like, stay in your first world country, do your thing. But whatever, the joke goes. It's not a good intro for a joke. I do gotta admit. The guy goes there, he gets caught by the fucking indigenous people, and they tell him, "Look,
Right.
you have a choice: chuku chuku or death." Um, he's like, "Fuck, chuku chuku or death." He's like, "Well, I'll do." And right before he's gonna answer, he sees somebody else that had gotten caught before, and they tell him chuku chuku. He had said chuku chuku instead of death, and chuku chuku was he gets raped by the whole village, right?
Oh my god.
So this guy's like, fuck it, I'm not gonna say chuku chuku. I'm gonna say death. I'll just rather die. So he's like, I choose death, and the guy's like, all right, death to you, but chuku chuku first. Everybody, gather around. So
Which you first?
so that's
Damn.
what you're caught with here. But sorry to steer off from the conversation. To give a bit of conclusion here, what would you say are your final thoughts on this documentary, taking into account the last part of the documentary where you show that some artists are coming out, some actors are coming out and sort of saying that won't work with him anymore? Like, were you satisfied with the ending? Do you think there should be further repercussions? What do you think? What was the flavor left in your mouth?
I mean, it was definitely sour. It was definitely, ugh, like fuck, like it goes into the whole, is the art worth more than the artist? So, like, the fact that this person's, let's say, inherently bad because he did a bad thing, should his art then be canceled, or does the like how good that art is outweigh how bad the person is? And then it even goes into the documentary. It goes into like the whole Michael Jackson and the whole R. Kelly scenario, where these are artists that produce a lot of good work, but then have a dark side to them, or like some part that you don't see. Um, to the extent of like that, like should we ban like art produced by these people, or let it sit alone away from the artist? Like should we just ban the artist and not the art? Like should we not, like, okay, he already did what he did, right? He already quote unquote molested, or he did or he didn't, because they never proved it in court. But we kind of know like he did it. So let that stand in and of itself. Let the art that he's produced up until the time where we agree, like, okay, so he did it, and now like let's like whatever the art is available for consumption, whatever, use it. But he can't produce anymore. He can't do what he does anymore, because then you're not only you're enabling him to keep doing it, because you're giving him money to keep producing. You're giving them money to keep this lifestyle, this way of living, of to be able to have the accessibility to keep doing these things that inherently are bad, because with with the power comes with the money comes the power, and with the power to do whatever it is that you please.
Okay. Yo, I think you're rubbing your mic to your shirt or your chain, your gold
Sorry.
link chain. Guys, understand that BJ, he does have that Miami culture in him, so he is going to, uh, flex. I mean, that is his thing, and that's just the
Yeah.
smallest of his chains. But
the,
to be
the
sorry,
the
yeah,
word is exude.
exude. He will exude
Exude an aura of
an
Miami.
aura of Miami, of greatness, of grandeur, or at least the belief of. Um, to
Delusion.
piggyback to piggyback on what you were saying, and I think this is gonna be another podcast episode that we need to talk in general. Does the art um, beat the artist, right? Like how do you balance it too, right? The artist or the person, like. And I'll give you my quick 2 cents on this. It really depends on the
It really
crime.
depends.
It depends on the crime. Like a joke that comes to mind is the sketch in Dave Chappelle show,
uh,
where they're asking him like, did Michael Jackson do these crimes? And he's like, he made Thriller. you know
Thriller.
that part is too funny, but it's weird, bro. It's weird. I will say something. Again, we don't know 100% what happened, but I'm not too comfortable with Woody Allen's movies. But when I look at his movies, I'm like, yeah, that's not nearly good enough for me to ignore the type of shit you're being accused of.
uh-huh.
Like like I don't know. I guess it has to do with the vagueness of the circumstances. I can still listen to Beat It, to Thriller, and I feel like it's good enough, right? It's good enough so that he beats that moral. And I'm not saying that the crimes are less worse. I'm just saying you have to also factor in the credibility in general.
Hmm.
Like like I think there's a lot more evidence with the Woody Allen thing than with Michael Jackson. Because it's been like people that have said then that they lied, and so there's a lot of, even though it still seems like he was a fucking freak, right? It's weird. I'm just saying,
Uh-huh.
Thriller, Beat It, what's the other one? Whatever, like Jane, Mary
Billie
Jane,
Jean.
Billie Jean. They're that good that you need a lot more on the other side. Yeah. Now Woody Allen, like just the Soon G shit, I'm like, fucking cancel this motherfucker. This shit is horrible. Like Like I
Like
think the
I
art.
already didn't look at his shit.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you told me this guy throws fucking garbage when he's walking in New York, like fuck him, you know. R. Kelly, like, you know, I believe I could fly.
Nah, Ignition
A
remix.
connection remix, you know what I mean?
Uh, no, my favorite one is Wisin y Yandel.
Why
Burn it
what they
up.
do?
No,
Oh,
but like burn it up. Girl, make it hot like the roof is on fire. That's R. Kelly
oh, with them.
with Wisin y Yandel. Yeah, that was hot.
Damn. That's crazy, right? No, I feel you, but well, with R. Kelly, that one when I listen to it, I can bump to it, but I'm like this piece of shit. Like it comes through, right?
Like you're still like fucking piece of shit, like but just bumping like
Dice
fuck.
maldito hijo de puta. He's a
Mal parido,
fucking
hijo de puta.
he's a genius with that voice though. You know, burn it up. Wow. Like there's this author called Paulo Coelho. He wrote The Alchemist and a few other badass movies. Well, not movies, but books and shit. And I really liked him. And then I found out he was like super communist. He made a book for Chavez, which is the dictator that reigned for 20 years in Venezuela. And I was just like, this piece of shit. Like there are things where I'm like, you're dead to me. Like with that one, you're dead to
Ah,
me. Sean Penn went to Venezuela and he like supported the regime and all this shit for no fucking reason. You have no fucking nothing to do here. Like no, you know, you're a fucking Hollywood artist. What the fuck are you doing here? And
this is
to
where we put the little Robert Downey Jr. meme. Like you can't go full retard.
yeah, yeah, that's full retard. So well, we're gonna go deeper into this, but in general, for me, is it has to do with the crime. I have to judge it by the crime and the art, and we gotta put it in the fucking balance. So
So
so we'll
it's so you're saying it's a case by case. Like it's
yeah,
not universal for every
there's no
artist.
universal because it's too complex. You gotta look at the crimes that they're accused of. You gotta look at the evidence that's available, and you gotta look at the art. And you put that all on that little weight, and you start seeing where that shit pushes. You know, that you know what I mean? They say Mark Twain was like racist or some shit like that. Didn't they say on
Mhm.
the you know? I mean, I don't fucking read much Mark Twain. I don't give a fuck. But like,
Yeah.
there's this whole sorts of things, you know, that you gotta put in that
Like Dr. Seuss.
yeah, like Dr. Seuss. You know, I mean, with everything, like Martin Luther King. Apparently, he was like a super womanizer. He cheated on his wife. So
Really.
like you know, humans were fallible. So heroes, you know, they have a lot of holes in their capes, and that's fine. I think that makes people human. You know, like
Right.
Mandela, he got divorced with, you know, he was able to be in jail for 32 years. He couldn't stand his wife. Like that's how, you know, like people aren't perfect, but I think we do gotta wait. Do you agree with me that you have to sort of put all those things in balance and then see if you can still bump to
I,
the music?
I, I can totally see that. Like I mean, there's some like there's some songs that are like like shit like no matter what this person did, I'm still gonna listen to it. But the
Again, not with all, in my opinion. I think there's some. I
like
mean, not that I can think
uh,
of now, but
yeah,
like I don't like, for example, Calle 13.
uh-huh.
You know, Residente,
You don't
because
like
he's super like he went to Chavez and shit, and I never really liked him as a rapper. And then when he did that, I'm like, yeah, fuck his music.
but
So
then that also has to do with your personal convictions. Like you personally got affected by Chavez's regime. You personally didn't get affected by somebody poking your butthole. So like and then you also have to
I
consider
get that
who's
metaphor,
looking
but
who's I mean like no I mean like I mean I don't know. Saying like you also have to look at who's the person that's judging because they have they're also their own
yeah,
set preset biases. Like what do they consider right and wrong versus what you consider
right.
right and wrong?
I mean, I guess I'm biased, but in general, by logic, I don't think anyone can view that as anything but stupid and going retarded. You know, like
What?
Like I did suffer through the Venezuelan thing, but even you, I mean, maybe you don't know and you don't really care much about this, but somebody that supports the regime in a socialist communist country, like that's a fucking retard, you know,
Right.
plain and
Like
simple. But you gotta
you
measure.
say that because you experienced it personally firsthand, and how that detrimentally affected you and your family and your environment, and where you were living. But me, I I wouldn't hate on Calle 13 because he supports communism. I would hate on him because let's say he fucked a dog or some shit like that, or like he fucked
Right,
underage kid, because that's more relatable to my domain per se. You
right.
know,
Well, I think
so
people like that should read more so that they can hate
so
motherfuckers
they
like
can hate more.
that. No, I'm just
So
saying, like a lot of people don't
they
know that
have more
shit
reasons to hate.
no, but just know who the fuck is who. Like Sean Penn, that's fucked up, man. You know, there's a bunch of people that do some stupid shit like that. But again, maybe to me that's enough to not want to watch their shit again. But maybe to you that's not enough, and that's perfectly fine. Just like I can
Right.
still bump some Michael Jackson, and some other people will be like, "Yo, you're a piece of shit." When I listen to
Exactly.
Thriller, I can see those kids, and I'm like,
So
"Fuck, I
so
can't."
that's also something else you have to consider, like when
Right,
you're asking this question of like the art versus the artist. Who's doing the judgment call? Like, who's making
right,
the call?
right. Okay, well, in the next episode, we're gonna talk about this in depth, and we're gonna make judgment calls on many artists, and we're gonna see who the fuck is who. And we understand that I mean, as you can see here, BJ is a fucking communist, but we're gonna have a few
Basically.
options to look at and see what's up. So yeah, we're gonna have, I don't know if it's gonna be the next one because sometimes I order these episodes in a specific way, but we
Uh-huh.
will have an episode very soon where we're gonna talk about the artist versus the person, you know, like Maradona. You know, there's many people that we can put in this bag, and we will.
Right, it can be sports too, yeah.
Sports, yeah, of course, sports, movies, anybody that's famous. So yeah, thank you all for joining and tuning in. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment, and also share with your friends. If you find this to be funny and cool, share with them, and you can talk shit about it with them. And thanks, BJ, for joining us
Yeah.
once
Always a pleasure,
again.
bro.
It's always fun, and dude, straight up the style today, killing it, killing
Yo,
it.
it's a I don't know about you, but today is St. Patrick's Day, so I'm wearing all green.
Oh, that's for sure. That's St. Patty's Day. Keep it real, keep it gangsta, and keep it broski doodles. Peace.